Hey everybody, it's Gabe Finochio from the Royal, and I am just going to share some thoughts with you that I've had recently, kind of what God's been speaking to me. Many times in our lives we feel ourselves distant from the Lord. It's a normal thing. It's a common occurrence. It's something that, you're busy doing something, or, something else gets put into your brain and you're thinking about it all the time. And you kind of, stop thinking about God. You stop focusing on God. You stop putting your attention where it should be. But it's interesting because many times when that happens, we naturally wonder what God has done to disappear, or really why he's not involved in our lives. And we wonder, we're like, God, where are you? Where did you go? And I don't believe that God goes anywhere. I believe that we are the ones that go. We are the ones that leave his presence. The book of Romans says that nothing can separate us from the love of God. And it begins, Paul goes through this list of things that will not separate us from the love of God. And he says height and depth and things present and things to come, and no creation, no angel, nothing created within creation can separate us from the love of God. But it's interesting that in the list, he never says you. He never says that you can't separate yourself from the love of God. And I think that many times that's the thing, is that we separate ourselves. We, many times through a lack of focus, a lack of prayer, a lack of spiritual discipline, a lack of worship, really, we tend to separate ourselves, and that's when we feel the distance between us and God. It's when we move away from him. It's when we separate ourselves from his love. His love doesn't change. He's always there. He's always got his arms open, just like the father in the story of the prodigal son. The prodigal son was the one who moved away from his father. And that's many times how our relationship with the Lord is. We decide that we've got it together and we're in charge and we know what to do, and all of a sudden we go off, and before you know it, you feel alone and you feel distant, and you don't feel the same way as you did before in your relationship with God. And I just think that it's on us. And that's, I believe, why the book of James says in James chapter 4, I think verse 8, it says, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. And that's really the thing, is that every single day of our lives, we have to learn how to draw near to God. And it's that drawing near to God that brings us and ushers us back into his presence. And again, when we draw near to him, he draws near to us. And so I just want to encourage you today, if you feel distant from the Lord, it's not because he's distant from you. It's because somehow, in some situation, by some circumstance, you have allowed yourself to draw away, to other things to draw you away from God. And the challenge is, will you draw once again near to him? Don't leave his presence. Draw near to him. You can do it with boldness. You can do it with boldness because the grace of Jesus is waiting there for you. And the mercy of God is waiting to embrace you once again. So I want to encourage you today. Hope that blesses you. Hope that helps you. Take care.